Hello, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Vaishali Bharambe. I've been teaching anatomy for more than 25 years and I love it. Today, it's about development of the female reproductive system. So, today we're going to develop the ovary. Okay? So, let's dive into this topic, which many students surprisingly find difficult. I hope I managed to make it easy for all of you. Just remember that MCQs and notes on the entire topic are available on my website, vbanatomy.com. So you can go there, solve MCQs, you can go and take a look at the notes in the form of handouts, and you can directly read those notes. Many of my students have done that, so that's a facility available to you as well. Right. So development of the genital system consists of development of male reproductive system and female reproductive system. So now we know we are studying female reproductive system, in which you have development of gonad, which is the ovary, development of sex or genital ducts, which will finally result in development of uterus and vagina, and of course development of external genitalia. So there are three separate lectures for each of these, today being the one, development of ovary. Before we get into development of ovary, remember, the sex of any embryo is already determined at the time of fertilization. You need not sit and watch whether it's going to develop into an ovary or testes. The sex is decided and relevant gonad is going to develop. But when is it going to develop and how is it going to develop? That's what we are going to study today. Okay, so around the 4th or 5th week of development, okay, the ovaries / the testes have started to develop. How? Let's take a look. Right. So this is a rather familiar image for you, I think. So you can see that here is the epiblast, here is the hypoblast. That means this is which embryo? Yes, it's the bilaminar embryo. It's a bilaminar embryo. This above is the amniotic cavity. This is the yolk sac and this is the connecting stalk. Take a look at it. Orient yourself. Let's cut it. Now we've sliced through this so that we've removed the cap of amniotic cavity and we are looking from the top at this embryo, which is somewhat pear-shaped. Okay, so you're looking at the embryonic disc from the top, amniotic cavity and the amniogenic cells which were forming the cap have been removed. So this is your pear-shaped germ disc. You are looking at the epiblast. Here is your primitive streak. Remember what is primitive streak? Primitive streak is a linear elevation produced in the caudal region of the epiblast. So now what happens at the primitive streak? The cells which are in the caudal region of epiblast begin to migrate downwards through the primitive streak. Look at the cells here as well and here as well. They're just coming in, migrating through the primitive streak downwards. Okay. And where are they going? They are going to lie in the region of the future umbilical cord. See, here is your future umbilical cord and this is where your primordial germ cells come to lie. So, let's quickly revise before we go further. The cells in the caudal region of the epiblast migrate to the primitive streak, through the primitive streak, and they come to lie in the region of the embryo which is close to the connecting stalk. Okay? Alright. So here is your connecting stalk and the allantois present there. And these are your primordial germ cells. Okay? They have now come to lie in the region of splanchnic mesoderm, hindgut, and dorsal mesentery. See this yellow tube? This is your hindgut. This brown colored fold behind, that's your dorsal mesentery. And your primordial germ cells, which are finally going to produce the ovum, okay, are all now present over here. From epiblast through primitive streak to the endoderm of hindgut and dorsal mesentery. That's the direction in which the primordial germ cells are migrating. Now where do they go and what is happening parallelly? Now here you're seeing something called mesonephros made of mesonephric tubules. I'm sure you know that mesonephros is the second attempt human body does to create a kidney. Does it succeed? No, it doesn't. Okay, But this is that stage when the body is trying to create a mesonephros. The mesonephric tubules are draining into the mesonephric duct. Okay, so here's your mesonephric duct. This here in the lower pelvic region is the last attempt the body will make to create the kidney, which is the metanephros. As you know, it is the metanephros which will finally produce the definitive kidney. Okay. So, medial to this mesonephros, you find development of a collection of cells or an elevation which is called genital ridge, which is an elevation medial to the mesonephric kidney. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a section through the embryo. Okay. This genital ridge is produced by thickening of the coelomic epithelium with the contribution by underlying mesenchyme. Easy to read the sentence, difficult to understand. Okay. So here, this covering is your coelomic epithelium, okay, on both sides. And this gray tissue that is coming in is the mesenchyme. And together they are producing this elevation on both the sides, which is called as the genital ridge. Now, this is mesonephros, this is mesonephric kidney, and this is your genital ridge. The cells, the primordial germ cells, see how the primordial germ cells migrate through the hindgut and dorsal mesentery to reach the region of genital ridge. And they begin to multiply there by process of mitosis. From epiblast through primitive streak to the region of connecting stalk, from there to the hindgut and dorsal mesentery, through the dorsal mesentery and hindgut, migrating upwards to the genital ridge, where now they begin to multiply. Okay, so primordial germ cells have reached the tentative region where gonad is going to develop, and they have started to multiply there. Clear? Okay, so thus primordial germ cells reach and multiply in the genital ridge. Clear? So, where did the primordial germ cells come from? Ask yourself this question one last time. Yes, they came from epiblast. Where did they go? They went to the genital ridge. What is happening in the genital ridge now? They are multiplying. But something else is also happening there. At this stage, the genital ridge is indifferent. That means it's neither male nor female. It is just divided. This is your genital ridge. It's just divided into outer cortex and inner medulla. We know it's indifferent, but it's divided into an outer cortex and inner medulla. The medulla, in turn, is laterally connected to the mesonephric tubules. Remember mesonephros? These mesonephric tubules are draining laterally into the mesonephric duct. So medulla, mesonephric tubules, mesonephric duct. These are three things present at one level connected to each other. Parallelly, you can see early development of paramesonephric duct. Just remember it, we will be discussing it in my next lecture. Right, so now what happens? The gonadal ridge in the female embryo consists of outer cortex and inner medulla. For development of ovary, the primordial germ cells lie just beneath the surface epithelium of gonadal ridge. They begin to produce what is called sex cord. What do they produce? You can see the sex cords here. Can you see them? All the sex cords migrate from the cortex to the medulla. You can see them here just one more time. All the sex cords have started to migrate from the cortex into the medulla. Okay. That's the mesonephric duct. That's the paramesonephric duct. Keep orienting yourself. That's early development. Now what happens? These sex cords containing primordial germ cells slowly degenerate. Okay, they degenerate. They may have got formed, but they degenerate. Then what happens? Okay, new cortical sex cords are produced, but these are, now this side is showing you the next development. Development is happening on both the sides, okay? But now let's focus on this side. You will see that shorter sex cords are produced. They don't go into the medulla. Can you see how short they are? They're just in the cortex. They don't enter into the medulla. These are the next wave of sex cords. They remain superficial, do not invade medulla. In the third month, they get broken up, okay? And by the underlying mesenchymes. Remember, the underlying mesenchyme is invading into them, breaking the cord into smaller cell groups. And this is how primary ovarian follicles are formed. Remember your histology, ovarian follicles. What are primary ovarian follicles? Here I'll show you what they are. Each follicle has a primordial germ cell in the center. The germ cell is in the center, surrounded by follicular cells. Take a look. So this is the germ cell, primordial germ cell, and these are the follicular cells surrounding it. And this structure together is called as a primary ovarian follicle, which is what we have developed now. It begins to, there are so many primary ovarian follicles now developing in the developing ovary. The underlying mesenchyme contributes to formation of interstitial glands. No tunica albuginea is produced. Remember, in the testes, tunica albuginea is produced. Here, no tunica albuginea is produced. The epithelium over the ovary multiplies to form what is called germinal epithelium. Remember, this is a misnomer. This germinal epithelium does not give rise to primordial germ cells as was believed earlier. Okay? So easy. We have developed the ovary. Let's understand and see if we have understood this whole thing. You can take a screenshot of this if you wish to use this as notes. So you remember, primordial germ cells were produced by epiblast. They migrate through the primitive streak, reach hindgut and dorsal mesentery. Through this, they reach the genital ridge and they begin to multiply there. In the genital ridge, you see there is a division of cortex and medulla. First layer of sex cords are produced, destroyed. Second layer of sex cords are produced, which are broken up by the underlying mesenchyme, and they form primary ovarian follicles. The mesenchyme contributes to formation of medulla. Parallelly, there is formation of interstitial glands of ovary, and the covering epithelium is now multiplies to form the germinal epithelium. This is how simple is your development of ovary. What about the rest of the genital ridge? Remember, there was a genital ridge. Only a part of it has produced ovary. Let's take a look. Maybe this is the time when you should be drinking some water, or maybe just picking up a cup of coffee. Okay, let's begin. So, here you're looking at the genital ridge, upper part, middle part, lower part. The upper part of the genital ridge forms what is called suspensory ligament of ovary. It will be attached to the walls of the pelvis, anchoring the ovary in the pelvic cavity later. The middle part actually develops to form the ovary. Take a look. This is your suspensory ligament of ovary, and this is the ovary. Suspensory ligament of ovary, upper part of genital ridge. Ovary, middle part of genital ridge. And then finally, this lower part of the genital ridge contributes to the formation of gubernaculum, which in turn extends till the labium majus. Okay, now what happens? The gubernaculum, while traveling, develops a little anchorage. Okay, this is your paramesonephric duct. Remember, I told you just a touch early development of paramesonephric duct. It's the paramesonephric duct of two sides which will unite to form the uterus. This gubernaculum develops an attachment to this paramesonephric duct. See, these are the two ducts which unite in the middle. The distal end will form the fallopian tube, and the two ends which are parallel fuse to form the uterus. So this gubernaculum on both the sides develops anchorage to this paramesonephric duct before extending further forwards through the inguinal canal to the labium majus. So this proximal part from the ovary to the developing uterus forms the round ligament of ovary. The distal part of gubernaculum from the uterus to labium majus forms the round ligament of uterus. This is how gubernaculum results in development of two round ligaments. Okay. Now the traction of this gubernaculum slowly begins to cause the ovary to enter into the pelvic cavity. So here is the uterus formed by fusion of the two paramesonephric ducts. Here's the round ligament of ovary, the round ligament of uterus. This is the ovary. So you can see how the ovaries from being right up there have now descended down into the pelvic cavity, lying along the wall of the pelvic cavity. So a question for you before we end this discussion: what is canal of Nook? I've asked this question in many of my earlier lectures. I will ask you again. So the answer is also given here. Remember that it's a peritoneal pouch, that very thin pouch that can be found in the inguinal ligaments in the female. Normally it gets obliterated, but it may remain behind, which it becomes a potential site for possible herniation in females. This is a question asked very often to female or to students. Okay, what is canal of Nook? So I hope this answers this. If you don't understand this, you can refer to my lecture on inguinal hernia, in which I have discussed this much more in detail. If you want to learn more about the anatomy of uterus itself, then please attend the lecture Anatomy of Uterus released by VB Anatomy this month as we celebrate the uterus. So what have we learned today? We've learned about development of primordial germ cells, their migration to the genital ridge, formation of sex cords, formation of primary ovarian follicles. Then we talked about how there is formation of medulla of ovary as well as interstitial glands and the covering germinal epithelium. Then we began a discussion on the development of the rest of the genital ridge, resulting in formation of suspensory ligament as well as the gubernaculum, dividing itself into round ligament of ovary and round ligament of uterus, respectively, with the anchorage in the middle to the developing uterus through the paramesonephric duct. I hope this lecture has helped you to understand this very simple development of ovary. If you have liked this lecture, do like and subscribe to my channel. Please feel free to give suggestions as well as ask questions in the comment section. I really need to know if my efforts are helping you to study better and have a more knowledgeable growth towards becoming a medical professional. So, again, MCQs and notes regarding my lectures are available on my website. This entire lecture in the form of handouts is available on my website. You can go there using it as notes. Thank you, students. I'll see you in my next lecture, which is about development of the uterus and the fallopian tubes and vagina. Bye.